Hello, rugby fans in Canada and down in the United States. And today we bring you our very first women's premier match here in the BC Rugby Union. A couple minutes late on our broadcast start, and I apologize about that. But the first score of the game going to Seattle as Kelsey Stockart gets things going for the Seattle Saracens just moments ago, which you saw. And that puts Seattle up by 5 here in the very early going. Flag stay down on the conversion attempt, so 5-0 is the early lead for Seattle as we bring you this women's premier match between Seattle Saracens and Burnaby Lake. Starting lineups for both teams, we'll start with the visitors from Seattle. Number 1 is Marty Quick, 2 Emily Vinanek, and number 3 is Sammy Elliott, 4 is Beth Gay, 5 Parisa Ezharzadeh, 6 is Rose Baker, 7 is Zara Young, 8 Christine Sommer, 9 is Carrie White, 10 is Katie Lee, 11 Kelsey Stockart, and number 12 Anna DaGrossa, 13 Mackenzie Garrett, 14 Ashley Kimchek, and 15 is Megan Jansky-Bengel. And play underway. We'll continue on with the lineups here, starting for Burnaby Lake. In the front row, number 1 is Carolyn McEwen, number 2 is Taylor Kapaiwai, 3 is Iona Schamberger, 4 Emily Gulick, 5 Shelby Sloan, 6 is Sonia Folds, 7 Nancy Radman, 8 Kathleen Gradzinski, 9 is Lauren Tagg, 10 is Emily Young, 11 Genevieve Graton, 12 is Mackenzie Lee, 13 Nicole Mallow, 14 Kira Malone, and 15 is Annabelle Arnott. Ball right on halfway as the two teams scrum down. And a penalty going to Seattle. They'll have an opportunity with this kick to push the ball down the field and continue to press on the offense. They choose, instead of going for this touchline, to do the tap and go. Burnaby up in defense quickly to meet them, and Seattle earning a second successive penalty for not rolling away and going very quickly with it once more. And Seattle continues to charge up the field. Crashing in there was Rose Baker. Now the ball is spun wide, a bit of room to run if they can scoop it up off the deck. It's Mackenzie Garrett in the bottom of that breakdown. Good run here from Seattle. There's a little bit of space on the outside corner. Zara Young unable to get around that last Burnaby defender. And Burnaby have caused the turnover. Running forward with it is Iona Schamberger. Burnaby in possession, trying the long kick. There's the fullback for Seattle back there. That is Megan Jansky-Bengel, and she's able to secure possession for Seattle. But Burnaby has earned the penalty. Check that, a knock-on coming on that tackle. And we'll see another scrum as this game's still a little bit choppy in the early goings. But Seattle, with that one try to their credit, having opened the account, they hold that 5-0 lead. I'm Brendan Monroe from BC Rugby. Thanks for joining us for today's broadcast, our first time broadcasting from Burnaby Lake. So a little less smooth than maybe we would have liked in the first couple of minutes. We apologize for getting to the game late, but we're glad you joined us, and thanks for doing so. We'll reset the scrum here. Good drive there from Burnaby Lake, earning themselves a penalty. Taking an age to decide what to do with this penalty, but it will be Emily Young with the ball, and she'll kick this one into touch. Pushing the ball into Seattle territory, coming up on the 22-meter line. And we'll see our first line out from Burnaby Lake coming up. That line out not going to hand. Not quite straight, I think, as well, and Seattle will have an opportunity to throw this in. Emily Vinenik throwing in for Seattle. Well taken there as the deep throw was reached up, going up the ladder, and now Seattle are able to connect with the backs and run up the field with it. Good tackle in the cross cover there. And it's a messy breakdown, and Burnaby Lake have turned it over. I believe that was Genevieve Gratton with the ball in that recovery there for Burnaby Lake. But once again, the ball's been turned over just as quickly, and Seattle able to kick it clear. Trying to find some room to run with it now is Kira Malone. Good burst of speed from her as she turns the corner. And she'll go all the way. Kira Malone outracing everyone, scoring right underneath the sticks. And Burnaby have leveled the score. It is now 5-5 with a conversion to come. Fairly straightforward play there as Annabelle Arnott collected the ball in the middle of the field and just one pass out to the winger. Sometimes rugby does not have to be a complicated game. Just use your speed, turn that corner, and just burn towards that goal area, and that's exactly what Kira Malone did in that case. Kick up coming. We're going to try a drop goal, 7 style, that one straight through. And Burnaby takes their first lead of the game. They now have 7. Seattle with 5. High restart, spilled forward. No, that's a good carry, says our referee. And Seattle in possession. Shelby Sloan charging forward. Young linking up with Annabelle Arnott. She's tackled. But Burnaby continue to build the phase play here and move it forward. Looking to follow up on their first try of the game. That ball is dropped. Was it spilled forward? Yes, it was, says our referee, and we'll have another scrum coming up. BC Rugby would like to thank our partners who help us deliver streaming rugby every Saturday. We would like to thank Canadian Direct Insurance, B2 Gold, Adira Live West Coast, Neurogenesis Happy Water, Extreme Rugby Wear, Avison Young, Grosvenor, Okanagan Spring Brewery, Thorstenson's, and Langara Fishing Adventures. Kerry White with the put in for Seattle. They're able to recover it off the scrum. And a good line break here, as that was Christine Sommer getting Seattle over halfway. They've been denied the ball for the last few minutes, but we'll try to build some offensive pressure. And now they'll go the other way. A bit of an unforced error. There's a drop from Shara Young. Results in a knock-on, and we'll have a scrum with the put in to Burnaby Lake. Ball handling not as clean as either club would like in the early goings here. I'm sure that will come together as this game progresses, but a bit choppy in the early start for this match. That ball is out very quickly, but diving onto it was Grodzinski. Seattle earning a penalty as she was not releasing that ball quickly enough. And Seattle decide to take this one right away, and bursting through the tackle line. A great run here. Dotting down with it is Ashley Kimachek. And Seattle have reestablished their lead as they used that penalty very aggressively, saw that Burnaby were not back 10 meters. They were all offside and just bursting through that line. Good heads-up play by Kimachek, who does all the work herself. And Seattle have retaken the lead. And they now sit on 10 points. On the kick, the flags go up. Seattle able to build that lead a couple more points, and they now sit on 12. So good response from Seattle, who were denied the ball for several minutes after that restart, but as soon as they did get their first possession, they were able to convert it into points. And this is quickly developing into a very competitive ball game. Seattle choosing to kick it away. That one goes out, but bouncing first before finding touch. And so going back into their own end are Burnaby Lake. But they will have the line out, an opportunity to reply. against that Seattle score from just moments ago. Nice take there from Mackenzie Lee. She's able to secure that high pass and retain possession for Burnaby Lake. But now there's a turnover. Seattle working hard to spin it to the backs, and they've done so. Is there space on the outside? Turning around that last tackler. Ashley Kimicek. Check that. That might have been Kelsey Stockhart. Yes, it was. And she's able to blitz past that last winger. Racing down that left touch line and getting in for Seattle's second try in the last couple of minutes. So suddenly this game has been blown wide open. We're scoring tries left and right. And some good long runs coming as the tackler's unable to catch up to those wingers. That was basically a repeat of the try we saw from Burnaby Lake just a couple of minutes ago. And this should be a fairly simple kick right underneath the posts. And the flags go up. 2 more points for Burnaby Lake. Check that for Seattle. As we're halfway through the opening 40 minutes, and Seattle already has 19 points on the board. Burnaby Lake with the 1 converted try on their account, and there's been a lot of running from those wingers from both sides early in this game. So the key seems to be get the ball wide. If you can find that winger out there, there's space to run, and that's how we're getting all of our points right now. We'll come back for another scrum with a put-in going to Seattle on this one. It's Carey White to feed the scrum for Seattle. Good push from Burnaby, but Seattle are able to retain possession. Now it's turned over. That pass a bit low. Nicely collected and lifted high back for Megan Jansky-Bengel. And here's that attacking play down the wing once more. Good cross-cover tackle. As that was I believe that was Emily Young, the fly half, getting her hands on the Seattle winger. Crossfield kick, looking for chasers. Is there anyone there to get to the ball first? That's Marty Quick picking it up. Check that. Didn't quite catch the number there for Seattle, but Seattle in possession, and they're able to secure this ball. Little pop pass back inside. Burnaby switched on for that play, and the defense continues to tackle hard. And Burnaby earning a penalty, as there was no release of the ball on that play. And Emily Young deciding what to do at this time. It would be a pretty far kick, I would say. So they're just deciding whether they want to kick it into touch, and they do. That ball landing about 30 meters away from the try line. Lots of work still remaining for Burnaby Lake. But they are using this possession well to continue to push the ball upfield. They want to respond to those last 2 Seattle tries. Very well executed lineup, but it does spill off the top. Seattle trying to fight for the turnover. And Seattle has secured a turnover. The ball is loose. Burnaby thinks they have it. The whistle goes. And Seattle, the penalty, I believe they were offside in that case. Couldn't quite see the hand signal from our referee. So we'll come back to the mark. And Jansky Bengal with a long kick, doing well from that position. That ball will be put back into play at about the 10-meter line on Burnaby Lake side of the field. So still a bit messy in those passes coming out of the breakdown. The ball's being spun well, but just a little bit short from both teams as we've seen a few passes disconnected. And that scrum half pass, so important to be able to set up the attack. That one's better, although the second pass let them down a little bit. Picking up the ball is Malone, and we know how fast she is. She's got that one try already for Burnaby Lake, but she's brought down just before she can escape down that right side touchline. Kapaiwai, strong run, crashing forward with the ball. This is good, simple rugby from Burnaby Lake. Just take the ball in, drive the legs. That's exactly what they're doing. Seattle working hard in that breakdown to cause the turnover and trying to offload it, but unable to get the hands free. And they'll try to change directions here as they go across the line, but that pass nearly intercepted, but it did go to ground first. And Burnaby now trying to cause a turnover. And Seattle forced to concede a penalty as they were scrambling there in that breakdown. Good recognition of the bouncing ball, kicked downfield, and going back the other way with it was Graton. A little bit of a kicking game ensues. That ball is out of play on the full. Just a question of whether it was kicked from inside or outside the 22. Passed out to the fly half and then sliced forward by the center. And Burnaby Lake happy to just kick it back. Maybe not the best decision as Seattle quickly recover that one and are back on the counterattack. Quick over to Young. And Seattle earning a penalty there as well. We've seen lots of penalties nearly going. We've seen lots of knock-ons. And the game not flowing quite as smoothly as we would like. But at the same time, when the ball has been spun out wide to the backs, there have been some scintillating runs from both clubs. So it hasn't always been pretty, but while it has been, it's been pretty exciting. Tag feeds the scrum for Burnaby Lake. Picking it up off the back was Grodzinski. Carolyn McEwen carrying that one forward into the tackle. Collected by Arnott. Able to find some space on the outside was Grattan. Anybody running onto that one? Can they get there first? Grattan chasing after her own kick, putting her teammates onside, but Seattle able to get to the ball first. And held up. Now that maul, I don't know if it was called a maul, but it does go to ground. And Burnaby earning the penalty as a result. I think that ball may have slipped forward in that last encounter. And if that's the case, we'll get a scrum, and it looks like that's what's happening here. So another spilled ball forward. Burnaby Lake in a good position. Should they be able to retain possession off the scrum? They have about 10 meters to go. Looking to reply to 2 unanswered Seattle scores. Referee not happy with the setup on this scrum, so everyone stands up and the ladies will reset. Tag feeds the scrum. Good push from Burnaby. Trying to find a passing option. They go back inside to Emily Young. And Seattle's offside. Not quite enough organization to take it quickly. And they will slow things down. Burnaby electing to use the scrum. And strategically that makes sense, as that last scrum looked very positive, and they are in an even slightly better position than they were a moment ago. It's been all scoring from the backs thus far, and the forwards trying to get in on the act and earn some points for their team as well. Good link up there as Seattle unable to slow down the Burnaby attack. Now right at the line. I believe that was McEwen picking up the ball. Advantage being played for Burnaby. And the arm is up. And the Burnaby forward pack earning the try. That is a good response from Burnaby Lake. They were able to secure possession for 4 or 5 minutes and continue to hammer the ball forward. I didn't catch the number of the player able to get to the line. But good build-up from Burnaby Lake, because they were able to use the scrum to set up that play. And they narrow that lead. I believe that's Arnott doing the kicking. Last time we saw just a little drop goal from her. I think we'll set it up on a tee this time. And that one through. So our score now 19 for Seattle and 9 for Burnaby Lake. little bit of struggle with the scoreboard, so we're just going to bring that down. Here we go on the restart. It was a low kick that was collected by Kathleen Grodzinski and not rolling away. So Seattle will earn this penalty right on halfway and kicking it deep into Burnaby territory. That's a good touch-finding penalty kick, bringing the ball inside the 22-meter line. And Seattle's forwards now will have their opportunity to do some work and help their team get points on the board. Good work on that set piece from Seattle, but unable to break the gain line as that ball was simply just thrown down the hands into the middle of the field. But that does set them up for a good situation. They have another 22 meters to cover. Advantage being played as that ball was spilled forward. Seattle still in possession. That ball's dropped, and we're going to bring this one back. Doesn't look like an advantage now being played on the knock-on for Burnaby. Grodzinski called her name a couple of times, running hard with the ball. And Burnaby will try to run it out of their own side of half. That one again dropped. And a knock-on the result. The advantage is over, and Burnaby will lose possession, and the scrum will result. And it's going to be a put-in for Seattle. 19 for Seattle and 14 for Burnaby Lake is our score right now. As we are late in the first half, there's a Seattle player down behind the play. And while we wait for her to receive medical treatment, we would like to reach out and say thank you to all of our sponsors who help us deliver streaming rugby every Saturday. We would like to thank Canadian Direct Insurance, B2 Gold, Neurogenesis Happy Water, Adira Live West Coast, Extreme Rugby Wear, Avison Young, Grosvenor, Okanagan Spring Brewery, Thorstenson's, and Langara Fishing Adventures. And the scoreboard continues to fight us, unable to update that to the current score, but it is 19 for Seattle, 14 for Burnaby Lake. Seattle player continuing to receive treatment in the backfield. So we'll go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in just a moment for the resumption of this game between Seattle and Burnaby Lake. Women's Premier League action here on bcrugby.com.
At Canadian Direct Insurance, we've all had a first car, and a second car, and then something that more closely resembles a bus. We've carpooled, car tripped, and carpool tripped. We've even had car mishaps. That's why we give you the kind of service we'd expect for ourselves. Canadian Direct Insurance.
And back to the action. Seattle earning the put in on that scrum after that last Burnaby Lake knock on. Stockart trying to push the ball forward, and Seattle earning another penalty. And once again, I believe they will kick for territory. It's just the decision between going for the touchline or deciding to go for the tap and go. It would seem definitely outside of the kicking for post kind of range. Good distance on that kick and just into touch. So getting the angle the way she wanted to was Megan Jansky-Bingel. And that will set Seattle up on the 22 for this lineout. That ball is high, batted forward in the lineout. Advantage being played, and Burnaby Lake are able to secure possession. Nice line break, good run from Mackenzie Lee. And that pass off target, but advantage being called, and we're going to bring this one back for the earlier knock on in the lineout. And Seattle running back now as this kick on the penalty will be sent into the air. Looks like it's going to stay in field though. And Seattle on the counterattack. Anna DeGrossa being tackled. Seattle still in possession. Burnaby committing a lot of defenders to that ruck, but Seattle still with the ball. Nothing on, so they'll kick it back. There's no fullback for Burnaby. And now there is a pass out to one of the forwards. Didn't quite catch the number on the bottom of that breakdown, but Seattle in scramble mode as they try to bring all of their players around the ball. Good tactical kicking from Seattle as they recognize there is no fullback. It's a real fight for it in there in the breakdown. Seattle able to cause the turnover. Have they released the winger? Yes, they have. Once again, racing forward with the ball is Kelsey Stockart, and we've seen that from her a couple of times already. I believe that is her hat trick try. Racing down that near touchline. And Seattle able to bump their lead up to 24-14 with that scintillating run from Stockart. And that has been Seattle's attack plan throughout this game, and it's all been down that one side. So they've clearly isolated something in that Burnaby defense, or at least a strength of their offense, as Stockart has been able to outpace her counterpart on that near touchline. And Seattle continues to build on their lead. They now have widened it to a 10-point gap, and this conversion to come. And I'm remiss to report that I didn't see whether the flags went up on that one or not. So I will check the scoreline at halftime, which should be fast approaching. As we are right at the 40-minute mark of this match. Time for one more sequence off the restart. Seattle able to control that high restart and running it out from inside their own 22. The plan continues to be get the ball to Stockart. She has it again down the near touchline. Does she have the pace once more? Nicely wrapped up by Annabelle Arnott, who's able to come back and get the cross-cover tackle before Stockert can add yet another try for Burnaby Lake, or for Seattle, I should say. Choosing the inside channel is Carolyn McEwen. Now back to the fly half. Young, who kicks that one into touch, and that should pretty much do it for the first half, and indeed it does. So the score after the first 40 minutes, 24 for Seattle, 14 for Burnaby Lake. That is a tentative score. I'm going to check on those conversions, and we'll come back for second half action from Burnaby Lake in British Columbia for Women's Premier League Rugby in just a few minutes.
Silly Willy Billy is a million miles away. When I had a little mind that I needed him to say, but I don't now, cause I'm mom and dad, I'm a grown-up boy. Saving all my money, gonna buy myself a new toy. Took a jet to the bottom of the visionary mind, where I'm making up the words to a song that doesn't rhyme. If you can't see me, then you better leave a note. Wait, scratch that, cause I'm never gonna be at home. Home, such a funny little thought. Everybody thinks now that I ought to rock. Nah, true, if you know what's best for you. Shut my eyes down now, can I get a deep blue? Sipping 7 up like a full-grown man. Even got a beard now, got it looking so grand. On account of the land in the middle of my palm, and I can't admit I don't belong. Gotta jump now, it's almost 75 degrees. If you're looking out the window, bet you feel the breeze. Got enough sun now to make your skin wanna dive. Outside one time, let's fly, high rise. Got an itty bitty care on the itty bitty earth. If you don't know what to wear, then you don't know what it's worth. If you don't know what it's worth, then you don't know what you're missing. Everybody in the right mind gonna wish in. Oh. Okay, here we go. Ha!
Don't waste your time away in life. It's worth the wait. Never too late.
For every passion, there is an ultimate destination. A place revered by countless tales. For salmon fishing, that destination is Langara Island. Immerse yourself in natural splendor and enjoy the greatest fishing experience of your life at Langara Fishing Lodge.
And we're back for second half action between the Seattle Saracens in white and Burnaby Lake in blue. I'm Brendan Monroe from BC Rugby. The scoreline after one half, 28 for Seattle, 14 for Burnaby Lake. Coming in for Burnaby Lake as a substitution at halftime, wearing number 19 is Alicia Noger. Seattle looked very impressive in that first half, running the ball down the wing. That's where they did their damage. That's where they racked up their points. And if my count is correct, we got a hat trick for Kelsey Stockert just in the first half. Burnaby Lake will need to be very sharp on that wing if they hope to stay in this game. Seattle trying to wheel this scrum around, and it does spin, and we'll see which way the decision goes, and it's going to be a put in for Burnaby Lake as they try to get themselves back in this game. Tag will spin that wide, bit of a deceptive pass from Emily Young, fooling even her own teammates, and the ball goes to ground, and we'll bring this one back once again for a scrum. .28 for Seattle, 14 for Burnaby Lake at this juncture. We just started the second half. Conditions here in Burnaby a little bit windy, but certainly dry as far as the precipitation goes. There's a lot of standing water off the pitch from all the rain yesterday, but decent enough conditions for the ladies out there to play some attacking rugby, and we've seen that from the backs as the wingers have accounted for the scoring almost exclusively. Just one score coming from the forward pack, that one going for Burnaby. They have a tremendous amount of work to do starting out of their own half, and that one is turned over. Seattle have it. That's a messy breakdown. Bodies everywhere, and there's a knock on at the bottom of it. And we'll see which way this scrum goes. Didn't quite catch the hand signal there, but it was definitely chaos as the ball was bouncing around under a pile of bodies. So we'll slow things down and organize. And it will be a Seattle put in. Feeding the scrum is Carrie White. And the scrum moving very early. Penalty awarded to Seattle, and they decide to take it quickly. Good show and go. And speeding in for a try was Christine Summer. Burnaby not quick enough to react off of that penalty resulting from the wheeling scrum. And Seattle exploits that gap. The players not back in time, and that's the second time that we've seen that in this game from Seattle, where they've taken that quick penalty and have run it in unobstructed for a try. And they extend their lead now beyond a couple of converted tries, as they now sit on 33 with this conversion still to come. Not quite out of reach yet, but it certainly is a long way to come back for Burnaby Lake. Exactly the kind of start that Seattle wanted to build on that first half, getting a try in the opening few minutes of this second half. That conversion attempt has the distance, but the aim is just a little bit off. So the score remains Seattle 33, Burnaby Lake 14. As we await the restart. Bobbled ball, but spilled backwards. Seattle able to retain possession. They'll use the left side of the field to attack now. Good move back into the inside channel. They've broken through the tackle line. Charging down the field. No one's going to stop her. I believe that was Ryan Carlisle wearing 21 for Seattle. And this track meet continues as Seattle have gained the upper hand, scoring 2 tries back to back, just moments apart. We saw that from them in the first half. We've seen that again in the second half. And this one looks like it's fading out of reach for Burnaby Lake as the athletes from Seattle are able to get up on their horse and just race away once they get into space. This kick coming up from Katie Lee should be a pretty simple conversion. But that one's hooked to the left. And so the score now 38 for Seattle, 14 for Burnaby Lake. And that's probably too much of an ask for the ladies from Burnaby Lake to come all the way back from that deficit. But there is lots of time remaining in this second half, a full 30 minutes left to play. So there are opportunities available for them, but the first step will just be to secure possession, and they'll have some work to do as Seattle have the ball once more and trying to find that gap in the tackle line. Wrapped up is Anna de Grossa. Seattle earning a penalty as Burnaby thought they had scooped up a ball, but not releasing in the tackle of the call. And Marty Quick doing the kicking for Burnaby Lake, and she's able to lift that one into touch. Marty Quick also doing the throwing here. I may have called Emily Vinenek on the throwing in the first half. My apologies if I got the numbers switched there. That's a good looking line out from Seattle as they're able to get it from the jumper to the backs very easily in transition, and that sets up this set piece play. And once again, the ball going to the backs. Good pass behind the back. Going to Megan Jansky-Bingel, and she has just one more tackler to beat, offloading it to Katie Lee. Steps away from the line now. And dotting down is Mackenzie Garrett as Seattle score a fantastic try. All the backs getting involved on that one, covering about 80 meters worth of the field. It started with a perfectly executed line out, and it continued with good play through the hands all the way to the winger and then back inside a couple of times. We saw a good offload setting that up. And that is brilliant rugby from the ladies from Seattle. And this is the reason to tune in. We have some very good skills on display here in the BC Rugby Union Premier League. And we saw it just there. Seattle now sit on 43 points in this match. And the conclusion all but assured. Still 25 minutes of rugby to play. But it will be worth tuning in and continuing to watch to see if there's more plays like that last one, because that was an exciting run, finished off by Garrett. conversion no good. The score continuing to be Seattle 43, Burnaby Lake 14. High restart. Bounces once, then scooped up by Christine Sommer. Slow ball. Seattle maintaining possession, but they do have a lot of bodies trying to hold on to that ball. Possession has been a key factor for Seattle in this second half, as Burnaby just have not had many opportunities with ball in hand. Once again, Seattle probing that Burnaby Lake tackle line. Well met. Katie Lee will try her luck now. The ball's in the hands of Mackenzie Garrett, the try scorer. And once again, she's got White Line Fever looking for that try, offloading the ball. Not quite getting there, but good support. The ball's now spilled, and Burnaby Lake will get the turnover and desperately kick it out. Good sidestep we saw there from Megan Jansky-Bingel. Seattle are back on the counterattack, looking for an offload. That was Garrett picking up the ball on the offload for Seattle, and they're knocking on the door once again. But a turnover is secured by Burnaby Lake, and here's a counterattack opportunity. Great sidestep there. Wow, that was lovely, and that is going to be a 100-meter run. Just one last defender putting some pressure on, and she must be exhausted after that run. Fantastic solo effort from Kira Malone, her second try of the game. Back up, but that was about a 95-meter run from Malone, accentuated by that Magali Harvey-like sidestep at halfway, as she's able to beat the last defender and had enough gas left in the tank to outrace the chasing Seattle player. And it won't be enough to necessarily get Burnaby Lake back in this game, but certainly a morale-boosting play and a highlight reel run from Kira Malone. And as I said moments ago, not necessarily much doubt as to the outcome of this game, but the reason you want to stay tuned in is for the great plays that we have on display. And the backs are lighting it up for both teams today. That drop goal attempted conversion goes wide. Burnaby Lake nudging their score up to 19 on that blistering run from Kira Malone. There is a Seattle player still down in the backfield on that last chase. I believe that was Marty Quick. She's back up on her feet, and we'll resume play as Seattle will kick the ball on the restart. Ball dropped on the restart. Seattle in there looking for a turnover or a knock on, not getting it. Burnaby able to maintain possession. That pass goes off the hand, backwards, stays in play momentarily, and is now going to be a foot in touch, as I believe that was Nancy Radman, number 7, with just a foot in touch on that play. Seems like it has been a long time since Burnaby Lake have been able to put together phase play in this game, but A brilliant solo effort from Malone gets them back in this game, at least momentarily, as the momentum swings back and forth. Now Seattle controlling play. Good decision to go back inside, as Seattle are just outside the 10-meter line. And they've earned, Burnaby has earned a penalty. Check that, my mistake. We have what I guess was a potentially a forward pass. I didn't quite see the hand signal. Once again, I apologize on that. We have some substitutions coming in. And our feed just a little bit choppy there. But the play is very smooth from Burnaby Lake as they're able to go through the hands and work the ball forward. They're now over halfway. This is the kind of phase play I was talking about a minute ago that Burnaby desperately needs. Tag able to get a couple of meters for her team. And there's a good piece of running as the backs are able to get the ball further upfield, but that pass spills backwards. Advantage not played. That was an indication of the ball going backwards. Burnaby Lake still in possession. And this is better work from them. Just hold on to the ball, ladies. Burnaby Lake earning a penalty, offside. Not from a kickable distance. Decision to tap and go being the option that Burnaby goes with. And that pass was forward. As we have a beautiful shot of Burnaby Lake in the background. Fantastic day of rugby on display. We had Burnaby Lake playing in the thirds in the men's division. Right now they have the firsts on the opposite field. And the Burnaby Lake women fighting back after conceding 3 tries in a row in the second half, having finally earned one themselves and looking for more right now. Good strong tackle we saw on that last play, but Burnaby is able to hold on to possession. Both teams fighting for that ball in the breakdown, and it's going to be scooped up by Carrie White, and Seattle kick it forward and into touch. Strong work from those Seattle forwards on that counter ruck, causing the turnover. We haven't seen the Seattle defense under pressure very often. Burnaby's scores have come from the back, sprinting the length of the field. But a good response from the Seattle defenders as they were able to cause that turnover and make their jobs a little bit easier on themselves. That last line out from Burnaby Lake not straight, so we will set up a line out once again. This time Seattle given the opportunity to throw it in. The ball is knocked down, but forward advantage being played for Seattle. Slow ball, pick and drive, and that ends advantage. Penalty going to Seattle. They're just beyond their own 22-meter line. The pace of this game starting to slow down after we saw some fantastic open field running from both clubs in the second half, as Marty Quick's penalty kick just finds touch right around halfway. And Seattle have built a fairly unassailable lead in this second half. Still another 20 minutes to go in this match. Questions being asked of what we can get from these last 20 minutes. Is there another superb solo effort in it? Maybe it's coming right here on the interception. And a try scored by Burnaby Lake. Recognizing that pass and getting in there for the interception was Emily Young. Just double checking that number. I was fairly sure that was number 10, Emily Young. I'll have to go back and check the replay later on, but that was good recognition. And once again, the backs running the length of the field, providing some excitement to this game. And Burnaby slowly chipping away at that Seattle lead. Conversion is wide. 24 points now on Burnaby Lake's account, 43 for Seattle. And if you like athletics and a track meet, you've tuned into the right game, because it has been a lot of expansive rugby, a lot of attacking rugby from the wingers, from the backs, and in that case, a great interception by Burnaby Lake, leading to a score. Seattle will get things back underway. Katie Lee's kick is secured by Burnaby Lake, but it is dropped forward and a scrum will result. And it's been a bit of a struggle for both teams, but Burnaby Lake a little bit more so just in hanging on to the ball, whether it comes to those scrum half passes to the 10 or 11 or on those restarts as well. Both teams looking for just a little bit better execution. But as I said, once they've got the ball to hand, there have been some very exciting runs to be seen in this game. With that penalty, Quick has the ball in hand, and she will use the boot, kicking the ball into play on the opposite field, causing a little bit of chaos over there. But on the Burnaby Lake Seattle side of the pitch, it will be a Seattle lineup once again in an attacking position. They're inside the 22. They have 43 points on the board thus far, but will be looking for even more. And our referee not liking the lifting in that line out. And the resulting scrum will be a put into Burnaby Lake. BC Rugby would like to thank all of our partners who help us deliver streaming rugby on Saturday. We would like to thank Canadian Direct Insurance, B2 Gold, Neurogenesis Happy Water, Adira, Live West Coast, Extreme Rugby Wear, Avison Young, Grosvenor, Okanagan Spring Brewery, Thorstenson's, and Langara Fishing Adventures. That scrum breaking apart. We'll reset it once more. It's been a fantastic weekend of rugby all across the province of BC. It got started late on Thursday in Hong Kong as the BC Elite U7s were able to capture their 4th consecutive title at the Standard Chartered International Youth Sevens over in Hong Kong. Congratulations to Shane Thompson and all the boys on the BC Elite Youth Sevens team who have been dominant this season and have really owned that Hong Kong tournament in recent years. And then following that, we saw some tremendous rugby from Canada's under-20 squad on the men's side yesterday, as they were able to beat the Americans and advance to the World Rugby Under-20 trophy. On the women's side, Canada winning the Hong Kong Invitationals, the tournament happening in Hong Kong. The Maple Leafs development team able to win that invitational tournament. And Canada's men's squad playing on the sevens in Hong Kong, last I heard, were in the bowl, unable to get wins over Samoa or Fiji. And next round taking place later on today / overnight. But before that gets underway, we will continue the rugby with our men's premier match between Burnaby Lake and the UBC Old Boy Ravens. That takes place at 2:45 this afternoon. Mike James will be joining us for the play-by-play on that game. And it's UBC Old Boy Ravens with 3 wins on the trot, looking to close the gap on some of those playoff contenders in front of them and maybe, just maybe, sneak in to that 4th position. Burnaby Lake trying to do the same, as the gap for them a little bit more narrow, but the playoffs are within sight. But they'll pretty much have to win out the rest of the way if they want to lock down one of those 4 positions. So it's going to be a tough contest between those 2 clubs. That kickoff coming at 2:45. Now we've got about 10 minutes left in this match. One that has been owned from start to finish by Seattle. At times, Burnaby Lake looked like they were going to claw their way back into it, but whenever they did, Seattle able to respond. There's been a tremendous start in the second half coming from Seattle, where they racked up 3 unanswered tries. Burnaby Lake able to respond later on with a couple of tries of their own, but the outcome pretty much decided by that point already. We have seen some disconnected phase play, but we've seen some brilliant individual efforts from the backs on either squad. And that has been the story of this game, have been those wingers for both teams finding those seams, usually getting around the outside winger and just burning down the touchline. Some great sprinting and athleticism shown by both clubs in this high-scoring match. Burnaby working hard, but they were playing against the advantage, and this scrum will go to Seattle as we wind down the clock here at Burnaby Lake. The Premier Men's teams warming up on the field beside us. Their kickoff coming up in about 15 minutes. Check that 20 minutes from now. As we wrap up the last couple of minutes of this match between Seattle and Burnaby Lake in Women's Premier League action. And once again, it's the backs doing the work as the try was scored right behind the flag. And I don't mean the corner flag, I mean those advertising flags right in front of us. So I apologize to the fans out there missing that last shot. But Burnaby Lake's backs once again connecting. And unable to see the runner, unfortunately, behind that flag. Could have been Malone once again. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. She's got a couple of amazing runs so far this game. And that would be her third try if, in fact, that was Malone on the outside. So Burnaby Lake adding another 5 points with the conversion to come. There'll be a long kick from the corner. And that one's going to be wide. So 43 for Seattle, 29 for Burnaby Lake as that gap narrows. There's well under 10 minutes left to play. I don't think there's quite enough time for Burnaby Lake's ladies to get back in this one, but definitely a good, strong effort from them in replies. They trailed by almost 30 points at one time, and they are now down by just the 14. Stranger things have happened. But if they hope to get back into this match at all, they'll need a very, very quick try off this restart. And do they have another couple of tries in them? The possession is good. The passing is good. Unable to find that breakthrough. Good offload, good take as the Burnaby wingers and the centers connect once more. Could be some space up on that blind side if they can spot it. They go back into the middle, and there's going to be a knock on as a result. And a little bit of animosity shown between the two clubs. As we approach the final couple minutes of this match. 43 for Seattle, 29 for Burnaby Lake. This penalty kick will put Seattle inside the 22. Line out stolen by Seattle. It's spilled forward, and we're going to get another scrum. Closing moments of this game, not quite enough time for Seattle or for Burnaby Lake to come back, but a valiant effort in response after they fell behind. This game a little bit short on execution at times, but certainly made up for by the amount of exciting runs we've seen from individual efforts. The wingers on both of these teams, the number 14s, the number 11s, having fantastic games. Is there another try in this one for Burnaby? They have 10 more meters to cover. That was a good looking pass and an even better tackle, but Burnaby is able to maintain possession. And they've earned a penalty for the offside. Not much time to think here. Kick doesn't really do them much good. And they will tap this one and spin it to the left. Good sidestep, but is there the support needed up on this blind side? Bodies rolling over the top of the breakdown. Good defense from Seattle. This is probably the first time the whole game we've seen Seattle's defense tested in a goal line stand. Burnaby continue to fight their way towards the try line. Ball held up in goal. Burnaby Lake looking to score one last try to close out this match. Denied on that last occasion as they got the ball over the line, but were unable to dot it down, and they'll have another chance to do so with the 5-meter scrum coming up. Dancing through the line and dotting down. That was number 19, Alicia Noger, getting one more score for Burnaby Lake. I don't think they'll have time to do anything else as the referee checks his watch. Conversion upcoming for Burnaby Lake. That conversion is good. As the players race back to halfway. Looks like there's just a little bit of time left in this one. And it'd be the miracle comeback if Burnaby Lake could recover from that deficit. They've put a lot of pressure on Seattle in the last 15 minutes, adding some important tries. And as we wind down to the final seconds of this game, Burnaby starting inside their own 22. Plenty of work to do at this point. Spilled ball, no mistakes possible at this juncture. And bundled into touch. Referee once again checking his watch. Ball spilled on that line out. Burnaby looks like they have stolen possession. Almost a breakthrough there, but good cover defense by Seattle. And now they have stolen the ball. Low cross-field kick, no one running onto it. Burnaby able to run the counterattack. And that's the fullback, Arnott, as she's thrown into touch. And that's the final whistle. Seattle holding on to this one. It was a superb fight back from Burnaby Lake. Not quite enough. As the final score in this one, Seattle 43, Burnaby Lake 36. And we'll be back in just a few minutes for the kickoff of the premier men's game between the Burnaby Lake Rugby Club and the UBC Old Boy Ravens kick off at 2:45. Please join us then.